Hey, folks, I am here at the Walter Bosley channel live once again, as you knew I would be, but a day early because we realized today is the 19th of November. Now, why is the 19th of November special? Is it because 31 years ago today, I was commissioned a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force? Yeah, that's of national importance, of course. But of historical value in esoteric value, even greater than anything I ever accomplished. Today is the 109th anniversary of the finding of Cora Stanton's body in a lake in San Bernardino, and which kicked off really the whole Empire of the Wheel mystery. And we are going to get to that soon enough. But first, I want to remind everyone that 1 week from today, I believe at 6 p.m. PST, correct?
Yeah.
At 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to be doing another Walter Bosley Reads Books live next Tuesday, 6 p.m. PST. $5, folks. $5. You get to be in the room. There's some folks here who were among the many who were there last time, and they'll tell you they enjoyed it. It was fun. I got to take questions, a few questions, and make comments. Now, last time I read an entire book. I read the Time Travel Guidebook in its entirety because it's a short book. This time, next Tuesday, I'm going to be reading a little chunk of Destination Carcosa, probably a couple of chapters or so, I'm thinking. But I'm going to continue doing the Walter Bosley Reads Books live on the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month. Okay. And for a while, it's going to be selections of Destination Carcosa, starting a week from tonight, with the first selection. All right. And then, of course, it becomes an audio book after that. So be there as I create this audiobook. Be there as I read my own work live next Tuesday. Let's see, today's the 19th. That's the 26th of November, 6 p.m. PST, $5. You can join the fun and be there and enjoy this. This, folks, is, I think, one of my most important books. I certainly did a heck of a good job researching it and worked hard. I'll let you determine if it was a good job. I think it was. And join us, please. And of course, you can get those tickets at walterbosley.com. Now, another thing I want to remind you about, the webinar, the Trans-Temporal Cosmic Mysteries little online webinar conference that we're having on Saturday, the 8th of March, 2025. During which I will be live streaming from Disneyland. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be cool, isn't it? I got some other exciting news. We just signed an additional speaker. Last night we got an additional speaker on board, and that is our friend Ryder Lee. Okay, the genius behind A Clockwork Shining. Now, if you guys have not seen A Clockwork Shining, first of all, I'm in it. Go see it. It's on Amazon right now for, I think, like $2.99. And it really is, hands down, the very best of the hypotheses as to what Kubrick was really doing with his film version of The Shining. And Ryder is the guy. And we now have him on board as one of the speakers for the Trans-Temporal Cosmic Mysteries webinar live conference event on the 8th of March. And I'm telling you, he's already told me what his topic is going to be, and you're going to love it. I'll give you a little hint. UFO people in UFO lore and history are going to be real interested. His topic is going to be amazing, and it falls right in with the trans-temporal cosmic theme. Trans-temporal meaning through and across time. Cosmic meaning, of course, space, the universe, dimension. Okay? Trans-Temporal Cosmic Mysteries Conference. Now, those tickets are $40. It's going to be a whole day conference. Again, I'm streaming live from Disneyland. Joseph Farrell's going to be one of the headlining speakers. Joshua Cutchin, Malia Grimm, and me, and now Ryder Lee, and our mystery guest, our mystery speaker. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you go now to walterbosley.com and you use the discount code Cosmic Walter in all caps, Cosmic Walter, you will get 10% off of your ticket price. It brings it down to $36. Now, you know, you're looking at Joseph Farrell, Josh Cutchin, Malia, myself. Okay. This is Malia's debut at one of our events. Okay. And she's got a humdinger of a presentation, but now we have Ryder Lee and we're going to have the mystery guest. Believe me, use that discount code Cosmic Walter, all caps. It's worth the $36. So go to walterbosley.com and get your tickets now, because there is a limit in the room, the online room. Okay. So those tickets might sell out fast. So, you know, go get yours now and you won't have to worry about that. Also, while you're at walterbosley.com, please check out the podcast. We have, Malia has just uploaded a whole bunch of, you know, episodes to the podcast. And there's a whole lot of you who are new to the Walter Bosley channel, and this stuff will be all new to you. But go check out the podcast. We got, you know, several platforms that we show up on, and we are presently producing new material, new episodes that are going to start appearing regularly. So go check out the podcast at walterbosley.com. And remember, I'm wrapping up the Esoteric Napoleon 2. And let me tell you, I'm glad we're talking. Well, I'm not going to say anything, but I made a huge discovery that I was not expecting in my wrap up on Napoleon 2 that I'm having to insert into the book. And it will blow your mind, because it just literally stunned me, and it stunned Malia when I shared it with her. Okay. It's something I did not expect. And it's really, the Esoteric Napoleon 2 is shaping up to be, you guys who love the first volume, I think you're going to love this one. Okay. So remember, the Esoteric Napoleon Volume 2 is still available for pre-order price, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, you can still get it. Pre-order means you get the discount price. Okay. Means you get the discount price of only $19 and something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And but it's going to be $3 more once the pre-order phase ends, and you know, you have to pay full price for it. So go ahead and do it in pre-order and save $3, folks. $3 is $3. Esoteric Napoleon 2. Again, all at walterbosley.com. So now I want to get back to talking about Empire of the Wheel more, because I haven't done that in a while. That's because, you know, Melissa Tittle of Hathor Studios, you know, she's been keeping me busy with some stuff, and she's been busy in the development. And so, you know, I was kind of backing off on talking about it too much. But today is, as I said, the 109th anniversary of the day when a woman's body, at the time unknown, was found floating in the lake at Urbita Springs Park here in San Bernardino, back when San Bernardino was, and I'm not exaggerating, the garden spot of Southern California. Believe it or not, Southern Californians will laugh at that, particularly Los Angelinos and San Diegans and San Franciscans. They'll all laugh at that. You know, they'll go, the IE? When was the IE ever the garden spot of Southern California? Well, it was 100 and some years ago. And that's when the Empire of the Wheel thing happened. So what happened actually to this woman? Well, around midnight of the 18th of November, 1915, to somewhere around midnight to maybe 1 in the morning, there was reported, you know, a disturbance out on the lake. the birds, the geese and stuff were disturbed, but a woman was, well, she died out there. Now, I argue with Rick Spence and I both in the first volume of Empire of the Wheel. We argued that somebody killed her. She was found sometime around 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock the next morning by a woman walking her baby in a stroller around the lake. And if you're from this area and you know where the Inland Center Mall is, that's where Urbita Springs Lake used to be. Where Inland Center Mall opened in 1967, where that's located, that whole thing, the parking lot and that whole giant lot was the lake. Okay, in 1915, and this woman was found floating dead in the lake. And at first, there was no way to identify her. And she eventually was identified with the name Cora Stanton because a purse, which wasn't found in the initial search, was somehow surprisingly magically found well within the zone of the search. What do I mean by that? Well, when they did their search, they did a search of like a 100-yard radius around that end of the lake. It was the south end of the lake. It's where the south end of Inland Center Mall is, where the what used to be called the Gotchuk's store. I'm trying to remember what it is now, but it's the south end. It's the store, the anchor store. That's what the south end of the lake used to be. And those of you who have gone on the Empire of the Wheel tour, you know that I take you to the spot where her body was found floating. Okay. And there's some weirdness there with a staircase. They have stairs coming down, then they have a small landing, and then stairs going down. And that's about where the water level would have been. Okay, and that's about where she was found. So it's almost like somebody is commemorating her, years later. But it was, let's see, 11 days after her body was found. Okay, they had done a search, okay, of 300 feet from where her body was found. But then 11 days later, well within that search area, probably about 100 feet from where her body was found, there was a purse and a hat found. And in the purse just happened to be a suicide note. Now, she was found with poison in her system. Okay. And some bruises, like on an ankle, and like someone was holding her down, maybe holding her under the water. Now, the poison that was identified, just happens to have been the poison that was in the bottle of poison in this purse. You get the idea. You read Empire of the Wheel, you realize it was all BS. It was a setup. So, in the suicide note, the author of the suicide note claimed, my name is Cor Stanton. Well, you guys that have been around here, you know that I have come to be convinced, to strongly suspect that this mysterious Cor Stanton was actually Etta Place, the legendary Western figure, the friend of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And I go into great detail on what I found and what I think about all of this. So, there's the basics of it. Well, today, as I said, is the 109th anniversary of that woman's death. And I just felt like that today should be the day that I do a live stream. So I'm going to jump to the live chat for questions and comments about this. So let me say hello to everyone in the live chat. We have Jackpot, we have Rui Gonsalves, Bumbleberry, Kenneth Johnston, Johnny Side's here. He's off work and driving home and doing errands. Philip Blair is here. Daryl Dothero. Hello, Daryl. Tim Houston, all the way in Oz. It's funny because he said last night he had been staying away from that topic for a while. You mean Empire of the Wheel? when I was on with Ryder Lee. I was on with Ryder Lee last night, as many of you know. Go check that out. We're really excited to have Ryder as part of the Transtemporal Cosmic Mysteries webinar. Go get your tickets now. Come on. Cosmic Walter, all caps, one word, no gap between there, just one word. Cosmic Walter, all caps. You get 10% off your ticket, folks. And it's going to be cool. I'm talking about Latitude 33 while streaming live from Disneyland on that day. Okay, this is a special. This isn't just all talking heads. So Gustavo Garcia Echeverria, hello, hello. Clayton Jacobs, how are you? Welcome. Tim Houston, of course, Will Blair. Renee is here. Hello, Renee, Mrs. Johnnyside. So I'll take questions or comments. Does anyone in the live chat have a question about Cora Stanton or Etta Place or the Empire of the Wheel? Now, here's an interesting thing. The 19th of November, the goddess Hecate, who you guys know I talk about a lot, she's in the books. She, over the ages, centuries, was often venerated in November. And at one time, it was the 19th of November for quite a while, 19 November. There's also a window of time that Malia has pointed out that had to do with Hecate veneration during the phase of the moon, the full moon, okay? And that would run from the 16th to the 20th, kind of in there. And think about it. The 19th, the night of the 18th going into the 19th, was Hecate veneration time. This is why Rick Spence and I, in the first book, suggest that somebody was doing Hecate veneration when they murdered Cor Stanton, who I think was at a place. Now, Kenneth Johnson says, Ryder had said he stayed away from UFO discussions for a bit, then you two went into the UFO stuff. Yeah, well, I actually have stayed away from Empire of the Wheel discussions mostly, but as I said, because today's the 109th anniversary, that's why I'm talking about it. But I think what Ryder meant, Kenneth, was he stayed away from like UFO Twitter and the UFO community because there's just such a-holery going on there. Okay, goddamn screen jump. Tim Houston asks, how long is the list of her likely enemies? Well, if I'm right, and this woman was actually at a place, she would have... if my theory is right across the board, she would have Germans after her. Okay, and as you know, there is strong reason to assume or suspect that there were German agents all over San Bernardino Valley, all over Southern California. This was during World War I, before the United States got into it, but the war was going strong over in Europe. And the reason German agents would have been particularly specifically in San Bernardino is because it was the railroad hub, main railroad hub of the southwestern coastal region of the United States. Anything that went via the railroad, freight or passenger that passed through the southwestern corner of the United States, particularly between LA or San Diego, went, was channeled through San Bernardino, the big Santa Fe railroad, whatever you want to call it, gigantic conglomerated station. I mean, it's always been a major railroad hub. That's the word I was looking for. So during this time, the Germans were selling arms to India because at that time, India was still in their struggle for independence from England. So with Germany being at war in Europe with England, they wanted to keep England busy on two fronts. So they were supplying the uprising in India with weaponry. Now, what they did was they smuggled those arms, those weapons, those munitions from ships into the Gulf of Mexico, into Texas, okay? And they put them on trains heading to California. Okay, ultimately to San Diego and Long Beach. If a train was heading anywhere west from the east in the United States, the Southwest, and it was going anywhere in California, it would have to go through the San Bernardino Railroad hub. Okay. So that's what the Germans were doing. But at that point, at San Bernardino was where these munitions would have been split up. Whatever had to get on a boat in Long Beach, whatever had to get on a boat in San Diego, and then cross the Pacific to go to Burma, where they would be delivered to, the representatives from India. Okay. So how we know this is a ship called the Annie Larson was caught, I think, by Coast Guard, maybe Navy, off of the coast of San Diego, loaded with these German munitions, bound for Burma. Okay. And that blew up what was called the Hindu-German Alliance, which was a huge network of German and Indian intelligence agents working on this cause, working against England, working together for Indian independence. It was a big thing. If you look up the history of it, early 20th century, the Hindu-German Alliance, you'll find it. Okay. And so this was being fed through San Bernardino. Now, Cora, I think, went to South America with Butch and Sundance, read my books, the Empire of the Wheel series, to spy on German activity down there. Okay, I go into it in the books. So she would have had German enemies, German intelligence, could easily have been after her, but also certain central banking globalist-minded railroad people as well. And we are convinced that there was an occult hand in this. So the spiritualists were likely involved. And the first spiritualist temple ever established in California was here in San Bernardino. So German agents and occultists. Okay. And who knows who else? Bumbleberry. Was there an indication that Etta Place was in the area at the time? Here's the thing. The whereabouts of Etta Place are officially and of record unknown after 1906. What is known is that Harry Longabaugh, the Sundance Kid, accompanied her from South America to California, okay, sailed up there, and that was where they, as far as we know, parted company. And her last known whereabouts were San Francisco, California. Now, this mystery woman, when they finally gave her a funeral, the woman allegedly named Cor Stanton, who I think was at a place, when they had her funeral, this group of women from San Francisco came all the way down to be her pallbearers. So you had these women from San Francisco who were oddly very interested in being the pallbearers for this mystery woman's funeral. Well, with that being the last known whereabouts of Etta Place, there's a big clue right there. The other big clue, when you read the physical description of this mystery woman, it's identical to the physical description of Etta Place. The age range is right, the hair color, the eye color, the height. It's a very compelling argument that she was at a place, and I'm pretty confident in this assertion. Do I know for sure yet? Have I proven it? Not yet, but I'm getting closer. Dana Acker, I'm just getting into the Empire of the Wheel. How did that title come about? Well, this area since 1914 has been called the Inland Empire. The Inland Empire in Southern California is the San Bernardino Valley. It's Riverside, the whole Riverside area, and from Rancho Cucamonga all the way out to Pomona. Okay, this is the Greater Inland Empire, or the IE. There's where you get empire. Where do you get the wheel? Hecate is central in all of this. This is how I first got into Hecate. Okay. And her symbol is the wheel. I wonder if I have a copy of the first book. No, I don't. But oh, yes, I do. Hold on. Walter goes to his shelf because there's always something good on Walter Bosley's bookshelves, including his own books. I mean, why not if you're a writer? Okay, my little African carved mahogany statue is falling down. See, Empire of the Wheel. See that the Beltane. It's got Beltane, but see that wheel. Okay. Now that figure right there is it's kind of a crossover between Hecate and Persephone. Because notice the pomegranate, and it was pomegranate seeds that Persephone. Now, Hecate was Persephone's mother beseeched Hecate to go find her daughter in the underworld. That's why Hecate is shown with the 2 torches, because she took her 2 torches and she went into the dark underworld, and she found Persephone kind of had been abducted by Hades, okay? And he had tricked her with pomegranate seeds. So she was trapped down there. But see the wheel right there on that? The wheel is the symbol of Hecate. All right. I also include it right there on Empire of the Wheel 3, the Nameless Ones, in 2 places. That's an actual Hecate wheel right there. And that is supposed to be St. Catherine of Alexandria. Notice she's holding a spoked wheel because that's her symbol too. Folks, there was never any such person as St. Catherine of Alexandria. She's a complete fake. They borrowed parts of the biography, the life of Hypatia of Alexandria, and then they made up the rest. Why? Well, when I say they, I'm talking about the Roman Catholic Church. They didn't want the pagans, the heathens, is from their perspective, venerating Hecate down there in Egypt anymore, in Alexandria. So they did what they do. The same thing happened kind of in a reverse way with voodoo. But what the church did was they took this biography of Hypatia of Alexandria, then they pasted all this nonsense that wasn't true, and they created St. Catherine of Alexandria. She never existed. She's called St. Catherine of the Wheel. She is Hecate, folks. And the first book, Empire of the Wheel, it's in a chapter. We prove it. Even the Catholic Church even admitted this in the 20th century, that there never was a St. Catherine of Alexandria. When you see that, you're looking at the goddess Hecate. And they know it. So, Empire, Inland Empire of Southern California, of the Wheel of Hecate, the Empire of Hecate, essentially. Because somebody was doing weird things that happen to coincide with Hecate veneration. So that's why Empire of the Wheel. Frontier asks, any thoughts on the McKinley assassination in Buffalo? And yes, you're right. The official story is incomplete, and there are some bogus elements. Given the photo putting Etta Place and Longabaugh in Buffalo in 1901, that is something that was, that got on the scope of our looking into a couple of years ago, and it's something that I'm still in the process of looking closely at, because isn't that intriguing, right? You had Etta, you had Longabaugh in the place at the time. And remember, there is strong reason to suspect that Etta Place was working for the Secret Service. This was in the days before the FBI existed or was the deal. She and Longabaugh might have been there in some type of protective support or an investigative capacity. I don't know. But it sure points to, again, arguing that these two were, government agents. Yes, I think Harry Longabaugh was working as an undercover government agent. He was not an outlaw. And I go into this in the books. Oh, by the way, you need to read the paper at, the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid paper that I researched for Melissa Tittle, relating to the TV development. I pretty much present very strong evidence that Harry Longabaugh was definitely a naval intelligence operative. And the books go into who else he might have worked for. But yeah, I've done some very original research and investigation on Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and At a Place. And it goes against what the old trad Western historian people, I'm, just like I'm hated by this one dickhead over, over my Ambrose Bierce research, because this old guy sees himself, he's the self-appointed expert on Ambrose Bierce, and he really hated this book and scoffed at it, had to publicly, mock me because he's afraid, because it's compelling. What I have found is compelling, and he doesn't like it because, just like everybody wants Butch and Sundance and Etta just to be, they want Etta to be a rootin' tootin' saloon gal, Western gal, girlfriend, old West, nothing more than that. They want her to be that desperately. They want Butch and Sundance to be those lovable, jovial outlaws. Hey, but the more and the closer you look, it's just not that. It's not just that, and it's not that really. The closer you look, well, the same thing, with the Ambrose Bierce thing. So, you get the folks that feel like they own a topic, and that's where you can make mistakes. When you're a researcher and you start feeling like you own a topic, you're headed in the wrong direction. That's when you're going to make an ass of yourself, and you can really block new, fresh research. So I think there might be something to that, Frontier, and I'm looking at it. Dana Acker, if Ambrose Bierce made it to South America, could there have been a possible connection with Etta Place? Yes. Do their timelines match at all? Well, think about it. She ends up in San Francisco, for sure, that we know of. Last known whereabouts, 1906. Off and on, Ambrose Bierce was in San Francisco a big chunk of his life. Off and on, they were in a couple of times in the same places at the same time. Naturally, he wanted to go to South America. We know that she and Butch and Sundance went to South America. Yeah, I kind of suggest, look at this book. Look at the subtitle there. Ambrose Bierce and the Empire of the Wheel. Yeah, so I argue in this book, I ask the question, and, personally, I do argue, if I'm right about Bierce having been Bierce was a Secret Service agent when he was younger, right at the end of the Civil War. Okay. And he went back to the Treasury Department when he first arrived in San Francisco. I argue that he remained affiliated as an agent for the rest of his life. And if so, he would have had, in my opinion, to have been acquainted with Etta Place. I just haven't found the material, documentary, or otherwise evidence to say, okay, now I'm really sure that they knew each other. But the circumstances strongly suggest it. And despite what you see in movies and TV and in conventional wisdom, circumstantial evidence does matter. It means something. It has great value. So I think there was some acquaintanceship at the very least between Bierce and Etta Place. Nick of Time says, always heard Hecate pronounced Hecate. Are both correct? Or are they different deities? No, they're the same deities, but it's tomato. It depends. A lot of times it depends on which subculture that you know her through. I think a lot of the witch folks pronounce her name differently, because the witchcraft folks, they think they own Hecate. They think Hecate is all about them and their thing. And that's just a slice, an aspect of what she's about. But it's, I say Hecate because that's how I heard it pronounced. And, I believe Hecate is how it's pronounced in Egypt. So Hecate, but whatever. It's whatever your choice is. I say Hecate. Dana Acker. Okay, you've talked me into a couple more books. Yay! And yes, Destination Carcosa being compelling is a huge understatement. It's a hell of a ride. Thank you. This is one of my books that, interestingly, doesn't get brought up or mentioned enough, I think. I don't know if it's my Roswell and the Reich, Joseph Farrell's book that gets rudely ignored. The ufology, look, the ET hypothesis people hate Joseph Farrell's Roswell and the Reich, and they hate my chapter in Shimmering Light too, by the way, that addresses Roswell, because anytime you say it's not ET with Roswell, oh my God, you get all this hate by people who just either haven't done their homework or they're just conveniently, stubbornly ignoring the homework others have done, because Roswell was not an ET incident. If you're honest with yourself and you've done your homework, you'll not react angrily at me for saying that. If you react angrily, it's in ignorance. Not saying you're stupid. Being ignorant just means you're not aware of something. Okay. And the further implication is that you're choosing to not be aware because it's not your pet thing. You really, really, really want it to be this, but you know that there's reasons why it possibly isn't that thing you want it to be, but you choose to ignore that because thinking it's the thing you want it to be feels good. So whatever. Anyway, Destination Carcosa is like one of my books that just kind of gets, I wouldn't call it ignored because there's more and more people reading it, like Dana here. And I'm very, very happy for that. Thank you, Dana. Bumbleberry. What was the first clue in the spiritualist connection angle? Well, first of all, their presence, because I was already aware of their role in the Harry Houdini's murder. Look at the book by Kalish and Sloman, Harry Houdini, America's First Superhero. Harry Houdini was murdered by spiritualists. Now, here's the thing. In the 1920s, Harry Houdini was working very closely with a guy named Walter Franklin Prince. Okay? Now, Walter Franklin Prince, he was Dr. Walter Franklin Prince, I think a psychiatrist or psychologist or something, but he was also an Episcopal minister. Well, I knew about him in connection with Houdini. And this was during the time that Houdini had his run-ins with spiritualists who openly, publicly threatened his life. Okay? Matter of record. Well, when I was digging into the Empire of the Whale mystery, when I was first digging into the whole Cora Stanton thing, there in the newspapers, I got a shocker. It was mentioned that she was finally given a funeral. Okay? Now, she was labeled a suicide. In 1915, no church would officially allow or approve one of their ministers to provide a public ceremony of any kind for a suicide. This was deemed a shameful thing. Okay? That minister in that church stood up to that and gave her a very public funeral. When I saw his name, it blew my mind. There it was, Walter Franklin Prince, in San Bernardino as the Episcopal Church minister in 1915 during the Cor Stanton mystery. Okay? So he was the minister who officiated her public funeral, which, by the way, a lot of people turned out to. Okay? Despite the fact that she was a suicide, he still gives her a very public service ceremony. And guess what? After that, he and his wife packed up their belongings and got out of San Bernardino before the end of that month, before the end of December 1915. He wanted to get out of there. This was also a place where much of the elite community were proud members and active members of the spiritualist temple. Okay, so what did Walter Franklin Prince know about what happened to this Cor Stanton woman and what was going on in general in San Bernardino with spiritualists in 1915 that made him gladly team up with Harry Houdini in exposing their corruption? This was the question. Okay. And so that right there, the fact that Walter Franklin Prince shows up in both of these narratives, these events, series of events in which spiritualists are present, one of those events, they are the villains. Okay, these corrupt spiritualists, folks, they were lying. They were doing what New Age grifters and fake psychics do. Okay, and getting a lot of money out of people and out of very wealthy people, and they were connected to political people, including the president of the United States at the time, Calvin Coolidge, I think. Okay, and Harry Houdini was exposing them. He was exposing their grift, and they were losing money. And one of them threatened him while testifying before Congress out in the hallways. Okay, on Capitol Hill, one of them turned to him, and there were witnesses, and said, Mr. Houdini, by November, you won't be here. Okay, she threatened his life. And what was it? On October 30th, he died because he had been assaulted. And it's believed that he had been long-term poisoned. So what was it they found in Cor Stanton's system? Poison. What was it they found? Remember, there were 3 children. There were 7 mysterious deaths in 1915 between August and December. 3 of them were children. Okay, a 2 and a 4-year-old little brother and sister, and a 14-year-old girl. The little 2-year-old and 4-year-old had eaten poisoned candy. The 14-year-old had eaten a poisoned orange. At first, I thought we had a serial killer situation. Okay, and Cora Stanton had poison in her system. And it's believed that Harry Houdini had been poisoned. So, in spiritualist circles, you have occultists, and occultists, you have alchemists, you have people that really know a lot about poisons and such. Okay, look closer at the details when you read the books. It's in there. But that Walter Franklin Prince was actually the first real clue that there was a spiritualist connection to these deaths, which I think all 7 were murders. And I say that in the books. Rick Spence and I say it in the first one, and we stand by that. So that was the first clue, Walter Franklin Prince. Okay. Gustavo. Roswell, not ET, is not good for business. Yeah, you're right. You're right. There's also that. There's also that. D. Dorothy Papineau. Hi, Walter. Cool talk with Giants. Yes, I was on Raised by Giants. I was on with Ryder Lee last night. And if you weren't here, early on, D. Dorothy, when I announced, Ryder Lee has now joined us as one of the speakers for the Transtemporal Cosmic Mysteries webinar that we're going to have on Saturday, March 8th, during which I'm going to stream live from Disneyland. But Ryder is now on the roster. We're going to be adding him to the poster, and he's going to be one of the speakers. We're real excited about this. So, if this interests you, if you're excited about this too, go to walterbalsey.com, get your tickets now. If you put in, they're $40, but if you type in the discount code in all capital letters, one word, Cosmic Walter, you'll get 10% off of that. So go check it out. Okay. All righty. Ari Bavel is here. Karen Carpenter. Tim Houston. Craig Freeman. Karen Carpenter, do you play drums? That'd be kind of cool if you played drums. Let's see. I want to make sure Nick of Time asked a question. We've got everybody. Well, hey, folks. I'm just doing 45 minutes today. We got a lot of stuff that we're doing. By the way, a documentary project, which I think I talked about some months ago, we have secured part of the funding for that. And we're going into pre-production on this thing. I'm working on the script for it. By the way, Ryder's going to be working on that with us too. So more on that later, though. We're pretty crazy busy right now. And of course, with everybody else, we got the holidays coming up, but that doesn't stop us. I don't stop doing business through the whole holiday season. Thanksgiving is one day. Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, I relax and enjoy myself. Of course, I'll be here with Todd Wood that night, but which is a week from tomorrow. I take Thursday off, and then on Christmas, I take Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I don't do this, it's the month of the holidays. I can't do anything for a month. Hell no. Who can do that? Be nice to have that luxury. And New Year's Eve, that's one night. That's just an evening. So, oops. Anyway, So we're always working. Crypto's here. Yes, hit that like button. Thank you, Crypto. So I want to remind everybody, Walter Bosley Reads Books Live happens again a week from tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's only $5. I'm going to read, a fair portion of Destination Carcosa. That's the next one I'm reading live. So we were talking about it. If you've not read it, I'm going to be reading it down the road. It'll be an audiobook. But for $5, you can get, however much I'm able to read in the 2 hours. Okay, $5. I'll be reading it live, and you can be in the room and you can ask questions. Okay, of what I just read. Last week was a big hit. People really, really enjoyed my live reading in its entirety of the Time Travel Guidebook. And a bunch of people showed up. Really, it's a really cool deal. And we want to see you all and more of you a week from tonight, 6 p.m. PST, where I'll be reading a big chunk of this book right here. So $5, folks, $5. Go to walterbosley.com and get that. And while you're there, check out the posting for the Transtemporal Cosmic Mysteries webinar live conference event, Saturday, March 8th. You heard me say it a million times. I'll say it again. I'm live streaming from Disneyland, okay, inside the park. And we have Joseph Farrell, Joshua Cutchin. Malia Grimm is making her debut here in as a speaker in our live events. And myself and Ryder Lee has now signed on to speak, as I said earlier. And he's going to be talking about something really interesting to folks who know their UFO lore, where transtemporal cosmic things are concerned. He told me what his topic will be last night, and I'm real excited about that. Real excited. So, again, while you're at walterbosley.com, please. Oh, and if you get your webinar tickets, Transtemporal Cosmic Mysteries webinar tickets, $40, Cosmic Walter, all caps, one word, Cosmic Walter, you'll get 10% off. It'll bring it down to $36. It's worth it, folks. It's a whole day. Plus, we have the mystery guests too. So Saturday, March 8th. But remember, the spaces can sell out. So jump on that. Okay. Don't forget the podcast. Please go check out the podcast at walterbosley.com. And Esoteric Napoleon Volume 2 is still available at the pre-order discount price of $19. So again, folks, there's also we're offering as much good stuff as we can, and we really, really appreciate your guys' support here. Okay, we really do. It's great to see all you folks in the live chat, and we're not gone. We're just doing things different. To part of that is to keep the lights on. And we're doing it different so that, I can continue doing the research I do and keep this gig, okay? Because I like it. I like writing all these things and researching them and investigating them and, bringing this stuff to you. So please, if you haven't gone over to Amazon and watched A Clockwork Shining, it's only $2.99, and it'll be the best documentary you will have seen this year. Trust me, it's fantastic, and I'm in it, folks. It's totally cool. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here again. Please go to walterbosley.com. Right there, you can see it right there where my name is, and I will see a bunch of you next Tuesday night, okay? Next Tuesday night, 6 p.m. PST, okay? I'm going to be, where'd it go? I'm going to be doing live reading of a portion of this. So, okay, folks, everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next time.